They said she was crazy, chasing a dream no one believed in. She had nothing, no money, no connections, only her heart and a promise to never give up. But what happens when a broke girl dares to love a billionaire? This is the story of how faith, resilience, and love turn an impossible dream into destiny. Amara grew up with nothing but hope. Every day was a battle, counting coins for food, patching old clothes, and working late nights to keep the lights on. She was broke, but her spirit unshakable. Deep inside, she believed her life was worth more than the struggles that surrounded her. On the other side of the city, Elliot lived a life of power and privilege. He was a billionaire, a man who built empires with a single decision, a man untouchable by struggle. To him, the world was a playground of luxury. But even with all the money in the world, Elliot's heart was still searching for something real. Their worlds collided one evening at a charity event. Amara walked in nervous, her second-hand dress stitched with love. Elliot, surrounded by flashing cameras, noticed her, not because of wealth, but because of her fire. In that instant, their eyes locked. She was everything his world didn't have, and everything his heart was missing. But love between a billionaire and a broke dreamer was never meant to be easy. Society whispered, friends warned her, and even Elliot questioned if their love could survive the storms. There were arguments, misunderstandings, even moments when walking away felt easier than holding on. But Amara refused to give up. She whispered to herself every night, if love is real, then it's worth fighting for. One day, Amara took a bold step. Instead of asking for help, she pitched her own business idea to Elliot. At first, he was silent, then he smiled. For the first time, someone wasn't chasing his money, they were chasing a dream. That moment changed everything. He didn't just see her as a woman he loved, but as a partner, a fighter, a queen in the making. Together, they built something greater than wealth, they built trust, respect, and a future. Amara's business grew. Elliot stood by her side, not as a savior, but as a believer. Slowly, the broke girl with unshakable faith became a billionaire in her own right. She has proven to the world that resilience is the greatest currency, and love is the greatest investment. But success comes with shadows. The higher they climbed, the stronger the winds of jealousy blew. Amara's competitors tried to crush her. Rumors spread in tabloids, she only made it because of him. They called her a gold digger, a pretender. The world questioned her worth, and even investors began to doubt. For a moment, the weight of the world pressed against her shoulders. She could have given up. But Amara looked at Elliot and remembered the promise she made long before the mansions, the cars, and the business deals. I will never give up. Asterisk. In the middle of the storm, Amara did something extraordinary. Instead of hiding behind Elliot's name, she stood in front of the cameras, her voice steady and fearless. She said, I was broke when I met him. I was broke when I dreamed this dream. And I would still be chasing it even if he never existed. I didn't marry money, I married belief. Her words silenced critics. The crowd that once doubted her now applauded. Amara had not only earned wealth, she had earned respect. From there, Elliot and Amara's love grew stronger. They were no longer just a billionaire and a broke dreamer, they were a team. They traveled the world, not to flaunt riches, but to build schools, to fund hospitals, to give hope to those who felt forgotten. Their love became bigger than themselves. And in quiet moments, when the cameras were gone, Elliot would whisper, I may have been born with billions, but you taught me the true meaning of wealth. Years later, Amara stood on the stage of her own foundation. Thousands of young women sat before her, girls who once believed they had no future. With tears in her eyes, Amara told them, I was one of you. I had nothing. But I had hope. And if I could rise, so can you. From broke to billionaire, her story was no longer just hers. It became a legacy, a living testimony that love, faith, and resilience can rewrite destiny. As Amara looked out at the sea of young faces, something stirred in her heart. She realized her journey wasn't just about her or even about Elliot, it was about opening doors for those who came after her. She extended her hands to the girls in the crowd and declared, "This foundation isn't built with bricks. It's built with every tear I shed, every no I had, every door that closed in my face. And now, it will stand as proof that nothing is stronger than a determined heart." The audience erupted in applause. Mothers wept. Fathers nodded in pride. And the young women, many who had once been told they were worthless, now saw themselves as powerful, unstoppable. Behind the curtain, Elliot watched with quiet admiration. Time had painted silver in his hair, but his eyes still carried the same spark from the first day he saw her. As Amara stepped down from the stage, Elliot whispered in her ear, "You were never just the girl who never gave up. You are the woman who taught the world how to fight." And in that tender moment, it became clear their love was not the fairy tale of wealth and riches. It was the battlefield they had walked together, hand in hand, hearts unbroken. As the lights dimmed that evening, Amara recorded one last message for the world. Her voice was soft but firm, like the voice of a woman who had fought wars within and around her. To anyone watching this, maybe you are broke. Maybe you are tired. Maybe you feel forgotten. But let my story be your reminder, broken beginnings don't define your ending. You are stronger than your pain. You are worth more than your circumstances. And if you choose not to give up, life will one day bow to your resilience. Years later, long after Amara and Elliot's love story had become history, her foundation still stood. Scholarships bore her name. Hospitals carried her vision. And every time a young girl walked across a graduation stage, every time a dreamer broke free from poverty, Amara's story lived again. From broke to billionaire, from doubt to destiny, Amara proved one thing: love is not measured by wealth, but by the legacy we leave behind. Years passed, and the name Amara became more than a story, it became a symbol. In villages where children once studied under broken roofs, schools now stood tall because of her vision. In hospitals where mothers once prayed for medicine, her foundation delivered healing. And in the hearts of countless dreamers, her voice echoed, "Never give up." The ripple of her resilience touched lives she would never meet, proving that when one person dares to rise, millions can be lifted with them. Even as Elliot grew older, his devotion never faded. Their love matured like fine wine, stronger, deeper, unshakable. In the quiet evenings, sitting on their porch watching the sunset, Elliot would smile at her and say, "We chased dreams, but in the end, it was love that found us." And Amara, with tears in her eyes, would answer, "No, it was love that carried us." Before long, it was time to hand the torch to a new generation. Amara gathered her team, her students, her leaders. With a steady voice, she told them, "This legacy does not end with me. It belongs to you. Carry it forward. Dream louder than I did. Fight harder than I fought. And never, never give up." In that moment, the flame she carried for decades ignited thousands of others. The movement became unstoppable. And though time eventually claimed both Amara and Elliot, their story never died. It lived in the lives they touched, in the dreams they inspired, and in the love they proved could endure any storm. From broke to billionaire, from despair to destiny, their journey reminds us that true immortality lies not in wealth, but in the stories we leave behind. And so, dear listener, the question is no longer about Amara and Elliot, it's about you. What will your story be? Will you let your struggles define you, or will you rise above them? Remember, every empire begins with a single step, every love story begins with a single choice, and every legacy begins with a single promise: I will never give up. This is more than a love story. It's a reminder, no matter where you start, no matter how impossible life looks, if you never give up, dreams can turn into destiny. From broke to billionaire, Amara's journey shows us that true wealth isn't measured by money, but by love, perseverance, and the courage to keep going when the world says quit. If this story inspired you, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful love stories and motivational journeys. And tell us in the comments, what's your never give up story? Because who knows, your story might inspire the world next.